do you have an understanding of your partner's sexuality, or do you have expectations of your partner's sexuality? Hello and welcome back to Potty Mouth, the show where the jokes are dirty and our minds are dirtier. I'm Aaron. This is Blake.
How you doing?
And today on the Potty Cast, first of all, Happy New Year!
Whoop, whoop!
It is the first of 2020, starting it out strong with the show Potty Mouth that you come to and see our pretty little faces. Today on the show, talking about swingers.
Oh joy!
If you've never heard about this, that's fine. If you have heard about it, we're going to discuss it today and go in a little more detail. But first, what's your New Year's resolution, man? Do you have any New Year's resolutions for this year?
I never really even think about that stuff.
Really?
I've never really thought about that.
Ever.
Why
is that?
I don't know. I just never have. Like, people ask me all the time, and I'm like,
So, like, what's the one thing you want to see out of 2020?
More money.
More money. Okay. Well, that's very honest.
It's like, if we are being honest here, more money.
Okay. More money. More money, no problems. That's kind of what we're looking at?
Basically.
Okay. All right. Is that it? That's the only one?
Yeah.
No, like, being healthier or... Like, screw it. I don't care.
What about you?
I want the show to be exploding.
More money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would be a plus, for sure. So, because it takes a lot of money to make this show. So, yes, we do need more money to make this show continue.
Yes, we do.
So if you would help us out, just let us know. We actually do need to do that. Get a Patreon and everything set up so that way you guys that are watching and listening can help us out and make sure this show keeps going.
Yeah.
But I think season 1 is doing well for the amount of exposure that we have and the amount of marketing that we're trying to do, because it's not like a whole lot. So I think we're doing pretty well so far.
Yeah.
And I think, the more we can do, the better. So, we're already working on season 2, and getting ideas and getting the content ready for that. Maybe changing some things up. We haven't quite decided. It depends on how the rest of the season goes, the rest of this season goes into finishing it out. But it's gonna be exciting. I just want this show to become something crazy.
Right.
And I think it can potentially do that, because you're not even so on this platform, because you're watching us on the official Aaron Shields network, which is my name. So actually, I'm going to explain that real quick, because I don't think we've ever explained to the listeners what this is. Because you don't see, like, when you watch the show and you see Aaron and Blake, but then you look at the YouTube channel and it's just my name, and Blake has his face on it, but there's not really branding for him. And so I'm going to explain that real quick so you guys can get an idea, because I know I've had a couple people actually ask me, like, how does that work? So
sure.
Think of official Aaron Shields, the YouTube channel, as like a television network. Okay, so the goal for our channel is to create multiple streams of content to release on this channel. So whether that's a reality show or a dramatic scripted series, or more of like a lifestyle show, as well as a podcast, that's something that we're trying to look into and trying to do. And so Blake is connected directly to the show, Potty Mouth. So he is part of Potty Mouth, whereas other content that to be released on this channel, he may not be directly associated with. And that's kind of how that works in a sense. Is so, like, there's the one main arcing network channel that you can go to see your favorite shows that we release. And then you can also watch Potty Mouth, which is a show under that main branch that Blake is associated with. There's also a couple other ideas that are in the works, because he's also a part of this venture and growing this company. So he sees it on a bigger level, but it's more of like his face is on this one. I don't know how else to describe that. Like,
Now that's
yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know.
that's about it. I mean, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just like, think of Official Aaron Shields, the name as like a network, and then a bunch of different shows under one network, essentially.
Yep.
So yeah, plus we have a lot of ideas for 2020 and 2021 going into this new year, as well as going into the following years. We want to do multiple streams of content, couple of reality shows that'll be like 10 episode seasons. Super excited for those. Can't talk about them too much yet because they're still in the works and there's a lot of development going on. But hopefully we can release that maybe by late this year or early next year, potentially, depending on how this first season goes with Potty Mouth.
Yep.
And going into the second season of Potty Mouth and figuring out filming schedules and all that, and if we're going to change this or not. So it's going to be, there's a lot going on this year, because last year was insane because we started filming in January. And we filmed from January till October. So the episodes you're seeing now are backdated a little bit due to scheduling. Because before this we had day jobs, and so we were trying to film, do our day jobs, and get all the editing done and scheduling done and marketing done and all that and all the meet and greets and all that stuff. It was ridiculously hard.
Yes.
And so now going into season 2, we're trying to focus up a little more and dedicate ourselves more to the show. But with that said, that's a huge time requirement. It takes a lot of effort from both of us to film consistently and come up with new topics. So it's fun, it's a blast, and we're excited to bring you more content than what you've already seen. If you love Potty Mouth, it's awesome. Hopefully you will love the other stuff that comes on this channel. So for those of you that are listening, if you want to get a piece of that, because I know that this podcast is only you can listen to it, but if you want to see the other forms of content when they're released, you can go ahead and follow the Instagram, which is Official Aaron Shields. You can also follow on Twitter, which is at @_Aaron Shields, and that I always post what's coming up, what we're doing, and you'll see all of the new content streams marketed there as well.
Yep.
Did I miss anything?
Not that I can think of right now.
I don't think so. But yeah, that's kind of my resolution and kind of our story. So my resolution is just to make the channel and the company bigger and better. To make it, because right now we're just starting out super small still, very small operation, a few people helping out, but other than that, it's still, really, really small. And then, just make it bigger. I want to make an empire, dude. Like, I want to make this whole show and everything. I want to make an empire for us and kind of just make this explode.
Heck yeah, man.
So for those of you watching and listening, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Keep it up, and we'll keep bringing you content. So, swingers. Sorry.
What is a swinger?
So from my understanding, a swinger is someone who is in a relationship but then swings with other people.
So an open relationship.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
So what's your opinion? I kind of think I already know, but what's your opinion?
I mean, that's not really my cup of tea, as I'm sure if you've watched any other episodes, you would know.
You're like, if you have watched any episodes of this, you know that I don't feel that way.
All you need is one episode to figure that out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, everyone has their own preferences.
Sure.
For me, it's, I don't know. I don't know if I could ever get myself to do that.
To do, an open relationship?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Because, even if, let's say, my wife or my future wife would want to start doing that or was okay with me doing that, I don't know if I could ever get myself to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know, just the fact that I said those vows and I said to death do us part, it's like I'm dedicating myself to you and only you.
Right. Yeah.
To me, that means a whole lot more than saying, you know what, this chick's pretty hot too.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that argument that we had about the sexual evolution. Is sex
But-
and love being
yeah.
separate things.
Yeah, but it's like, again, though, that's just me.
That's how you view it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But it
Absolutely.
also depends on like how you've been brought up and all this kind of stuff because
Well, and your views on love and sex and all of that in general.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
so I mean like everyone's got their own feels to it.
All the feels.
All the feels.
Yeah, I think. Well, okay, so there was one time. So I used to. I'm technically still an actor because I'm doing this and I do other things. But I used to be a model. I used to do that a lot, and so I would travel a lot to work.
Sure.
And so I had we don't do this anymore since we got married because there's a different level of commitment. For those of you that are married, you understand. But beforehand, she was always worried about me being tempted and then cheating on her. I don't know why. I guess it's kind of a girl thing because most girls kind of like get a little panicked or a little worried.
Well, I mean,
regardless of the situation.
Well, yeah, I was like, but I mean, I would understand just for the fact that you're going to be around a lot of attractive people.
Right.
You're going to be around them a lot. You're going to get to know them.
True. Yeah, and so she was always kind of concerned that like there was going to be temptation and then I was going to mess up. And so
I'm sure just about everybody has that kind of fear though.
Yeah. Well, in that time, at that time, she kind of just we had teased with the idea of if you ever were tempted, just to handle it and then always come home to me. That was kind of the rule that we had talked about. We'd never actually officially. We didn't do anything because it'd been a conversation, but it hadn't been something that had continued.
Sure.
Beyond that, so it's not like we're in an open relationship because we're not. We're monogamous, but at that time she was just like, I'd rather you just, because her biggest fear was that I would have lust for somebody and then that lust would turn into false feelings of emotion.
Okay.
And so she would rather me just handle the lust, take care of it, and then come home to her. Because she knows that I view sex and love as two separate things, and you can have one without the other.
Right.
So with that, it was kind of one of those situations where it was like, all right, well, if you have to, just deal with it, and then don't tell me about it. Just come home to me all the time.
Okay.
But we never, like I said, we'd never really gone into it further, so I didn't,
Right. Which I remember you explaining that on another episode and everything like that.
Yeah.
But,
back in beginning of the season, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I mean, again, though, just because that's what I value, like I view and I value is not like I would never judge someone else because
Sure, no.
or another couple because that's what they want to do.
Right.
I was like, that's their business. They do what they want with it. Like, it's like just because I think that way
I'm
doesn't
gonna be
mean,
over here. You do you.
Yeah, it's like we'll still be friends at the end of it,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because it's not for everybody. But I never really experienced it because we never really went and did that. But she understands my sexuality, which is weird because a lot of people, I think that you have expectations of your partner's sexuality, but you don't really have an understanding necessarily. And does that make sense?
You don't have an understanding?
Most people have expectations of their partner's sexuality, but don't have an understanding of their partner's sexuality.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay.
So they have certain expectations, and they're kind of they think they're on the same page, but they don't have an understanding of what their sexuality is to that person.
Okay.
So, which that's the question I want to pose to you guys. For those of you in a relationship, do you have an understanding of your partner's sexuality, or do you have expectations of your partner's sexuality? And that's a really tough question to ask yourself because answering it honestly may make you seem a little selfish. because if you have you just put these expectations on your partner without even knowing what their sexuality and what they're comfortable with and what they prefer. You may have an idea, but you don't actually understand because you don't really talk about it. It's kind of like
So how would you talk about that?
we just flat out talked about it. I'm a very sexual person, as you know.
Sure.
So like we've talked about it off camera that I'm just a very like sexually oriented person. I have a very high libido. Like I'm just very libido. I don't know, sex drive. I have a very high sex drive, and that's what I do. And so I just flat out talked to Ellen, and I wanted to get a better understanding of what she was about, where she was in her mental space as far as her sexuality goes, and then she asked me about mine. And it's good to have a conversation like that because then you really get a broad scope of how they view sex, how they view the connection behind it, and as well as the physical, emotional, and mental stresses that you can encounter with that.
Sure.
And so for me, we talked about it, and she kind of had a better understanding of what my sexuality was. And so she came to the conclusion where we had that conversation where she was like, I'd rather you just handle it. That way it doesn't turn into false emotion.
So let me ask you this then.
Sure.
What would you view as your sexuality, as in like the different ways that you view sex?
So I view sex. So, well, first of all, my sexual orientation is straight. I'm attracted to females. So I'm a straight male. But then I guess the understanding of my sexuality would be I'm very sexually fluent when it comes to talking and discussing. I'm very much. I'm not going to sugarcoat sex. Like I'm going to talk about it, and that's just how it's going to be.
As you all know.
As you all are very, very aware of. I talk about it. I don't. It's because sex isn't a scary subject. Like people make it out to be so bad. My family made it out to be bad before you were married and all that stuff because I was raised in a very conservative family. And I'm not on that page. I want to talk about it. I want to understand. I want to understand other people's sexuality. And so I'm very sexually fluent in that way about speaking about it.
To just about anybody?
Yeah. I mean, if anybody I'm not going to push it on somebody, but
Sure.
If you want to talk about it, I'm going to talk. Like that's just, if you want to talk about sex, I'm going to talk about sex.
Okay.
That's just kind of how my brain works. And then as far as that, we talked about how I view sex as sex and love is love, and they're two very separate things. And you have to understand that that not everybody operates with the emotional connection that sex is paired with emotion. Not everybody thinks that way, so you have to be understanding of that. Not to say that you can't have love and sex combined, but you have to understand if somebody views them separately. So, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, because I asked that because of the factor of, one, it's great to give an example.
Yeah.
But two, I mean, I'm sure some people would like to have the examples of ours and like how we are and how we view it. But mine, obviously, single male as well. I'm getting more comfortable when it comes to talking about sex.
Well, that's just because of the show.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was still getting more comfortable outside of it.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But it was just because of the factor of more, like, I was having more sex.
That usually tends to do that.
Yeah. So that's because the partners I would have would talk to me about sex.
Right.
But I was still like, I don't know. To me, I'm more comfortable with talking about sex with my partner more than I would, I don't know, some person that just wants to talk about it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, fair. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like someone like you or, any kind of friends or whatnot, I have no problem with it.
Right. If you just wouldn't want to talk to a random stranger about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so to kind of discuss swingers a little bit more, I'm going to read the definition of what the swinger actually is, and then we can kind of talk about it a little more. So, a swinger is a swing term, and it's actually a term for a person who engages in group sex or the swapping of sexual partners. So, essentially, it's where, like, you as a couple would swap partners with another couple. It's like I would have sex with somebody else's partner while my partner had sex with the guy of that. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, that's how I thought.
Yeah. Personally, I couldn't do that. So that's I couldn't do that. That's not what I'm about. I could do a threesome. I could do group sex where you just have sex. You have sex with your partner, but you're all together in one room, and no swapping. Which is not technically group sex. It's usually just like it's a sex in the same room as somebody else.
Well, can you tell me why? Like why not the swap, but you could do the group sex?
Because in group sex you're going off the emotional tension and the passion of everybody else in the room.
Okay.
So it just makes the experience a little more heightened.
So basically, with her in the room, you get that extra.
Yeah. So if I'm having sex with my wife in a room with, 3 other couples having sex, everybody's moaning, everybody's grunting. It's sexually charged. Like the room is sexually charged. It's like that. You know that feeling when like you're about to have sex and it's like the energy in the room just kind of changes.
Yeah.
So take that energy, and then just make it 4 times that with everybody else in the room, and then there you go.
But so basically you're cool with having sex with other couples in the room.
Yeah, just not with other couples.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Because when I think of group sex,
You think of everybody swapping. Yeah.
so that's why I was kind of like, all right.
No.
why I
Yeah.
wanted to-
So I'm like, me and my wife go in a corner, somebody else goes in a corner, they go in a corner, they go in a corner, and then we all just have sex in the same room.
And then afterwards, y'all just high five and say, "See you later."
Or you just hang out. Yeah.
Cheetos. Anyone?
Want to hang out? I mean, it's it's happened. I mean, it's not.
Naked on a beanbag chair eating Cheetos.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. Like I've done it. Like it's not awful. It makes it a little more tense. Like it's just like wow, because you're going off the energy of everybody else. Everybody else is throwing off that vibe and that energy, and it's powerful.
Okay.
It's like it's very sexually charged, and so it's just kind of gets you in a weird. It gets you in a really cool headspace.
I feel like I would start trying to compete with the other couples.
Yeah. You kind of do. Yeah, you kind of do. See, you try to go longer.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Yep. It's really cool though because everybody kind of gets that same mentality, and so usually, all the people climax at the same time. Because
It's like they sync up.
Kind of, but you're going by the sounds. So like, if sounds turn you on, there's a lot of moaning going on, and then as the moaning gets more intense and the orgasms get more intense, then it's like, okay, and then everybody just kind of goes at the same time.
Well, I'm screwed.
Why? Do you get turned on by the sounds?
I do.
Yeah, so you'd be like,
And they're still going like, son of a
bitch. Well, that's when you go down. That's when you go to your plan B, where you start going down. And you can always do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, but I can't do swinging. Like I can't swap my partner.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Which works for both. Which works for us because if we ever were in an open relationship, which we aren't, we're not going to be. But if we were, she's really weird because she doesn't want to have sex with other guys. So she'd just be like, "Yeah, you can do you, and I'm just gonna do me." Like she's really weird about it.
So y'all are gonna go in different rooms and masturbate real quick? Okay, I mean that.
But yeah, no, I don't know. Could you be a swinger? For those of you listening and watching, could you guys are there swingers that are watching this? If you are, please let us know how that works.
Comment below.
Let us know how it works. And with that being said, that's all for this episode of Potty Mouth. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, or watch it here on YouTube. If you're watching it here on YouTube, make sure you like this video so we can keep bringing you fun, silly, goofy content like this. Like I said, the episodes are a little bit shorter this week just because of all the holiday season. We're getting ready for 2020 and the second season and all this new content, so the episodes are going to be a little bit shorter.
It's going to be crazy.
But next week we will be kicking back into our normal, regularly scheduled programming. So that's all from this episode of Potty Mouth, and we will see you next time on the Potty Cast.